Okay, so today Eric and I are going to take a look at this feather here, or feda. It's a language thing. It flows better in the sentence to stick to the same pronunciation. Anyway, so this is something I received recently for review, and first impression, we found a few things that we like and a few that we dislike. So, of the things we like, handling is quite good. This is it's pretty light. It flows well. I don't know if you can hear the swooshing, but technical term. And balance is good. Length, blade length is pretty standard. Yep. And the handle feels nice. It has kind of a rubberized feel to it.
I don't know how well this coating is going to last with spec gauntlets or being hit with other swords. That is a problem that almost every fader has, is no matter what they wrap it in, it's going to fall apart. But as long as that doesn't compromise the actual handle or the grip, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. It seems like a pretty solid material. With a cord wrap, there's more of a chance to snag on things and fray the cord and things like that. So this should be pretty durable overall, I think, long term. Guard's pretty good. It's well fitted. It's actually got a slot cut into it to really line up properly with the blade.
One thing that's interesting about the Crossguard, if I may, the balls on the end, they look like they might be glued or epoxied on. And if they're epoxied, that shouldn't be a problem. But if it's just glued, those are going to get knocked off. And all of the edges on everything are fairly hard edges. There's not a lot of rounding going on in a lot of this, which is another thing we're going to get to in a moment with that. Oh, yeah. The blade itself, it's got a decent enough construction, aside from the harder edges. The plastic nub on the end, which has 2 screws sticking through it, you can actually feel the screws sticking out from the housing. I don't know how durable this plastic is, but I don't want to get hit in any place where those screws might snag, because that could get really dangerous really fast. I don't like this idea at all.
I do like the concept overall, or at least at first I like it, because this is actually fixed to the blade, not like with a rubber blunt where you can pull it off eventually. I mean, it's not like it's a big deal. You wrap it properly in hockey tape or something, and it usually stays on. Yep. I see what they were doing here, but the screws are just too long, so they do stick out. And if somebody were to throw a powerful cut with bad edge alignment that lands mostly with a flat, this could tear open protective clothing or skin. So
now this is kind of a rubberized plastic. I can dig my thumbnail into it fairly easily, so this is not going to shatter, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But the metal screws are not a good idea there.
Personally, I would prefer if there were just plastic pins inserted there that you can just punch out if need be to replace them. That would just not cause the same kind of issue.
Yeah, now the pommel, you might notice there's this black disc in the bottom.
There was like a very thin piece of metal, I don't know if it's mild steel or something, that the first time I took this out, it was deformed and I couldn't get it back on. So I do not like that at all. What I also don't like is you have to, in order to remove this plastic plug, you need to really pry with a screwdriver or something, and you will chew it up over time. The edge here, when you remove this is literally sharp enough to cut. It did when we messed around with it.
I cut 2 of my fingers trying to put this thing back together.
Yeah.
Ah, son of a bitch, that edge cut me.
You cut your fingers on a pommel.
Yep.
It's not something that I would have ever expected to say, but that's what happened. So in other words, as a tactical assault pommel, it gives you an edge.
Spray.
The pommel is hollow and there is a thread insert. The Tang itself is not threaded. The idea with that is that you can interchange parts, that you can get another size thread insert and use
Then you have to get a
pieces.
different bolt and a different
Yeah,
everything.
different
and
everything.
I don't understand why they did that.
Threads on all these swords, these have been used for quite a while, and there's no damage on the thread at all. So I think that's really a non-issue.
Also, the opening here is so small you can't really get anything in there. I don't want to bring a socket set with me to a tournament.
The thing is, if this was a different kind of nut that you can just access from the outside, you should just have just an opening for the nut, the same way Angus Trim does it, and then just tighten the nut from the top with a screwdriver. That's all you need. It overcomplicates things. It's not needed. I absolutely do not see the need to exchange parts, replace the threads, etc. It's
too many pieces, too many things can go wrong.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I do really like about this sword. The grip length is fantastic for someone who's taller or has wider shoulders. If we grab, say, your sword over there, we've got a Reginae or Reginier or however you say it. So you'll notice that the grip is substantially longer here. This is a little short, especially if you're wearing Spec clamshell style gauntlets. And this is a little closer to what you'd get in a synthetic from Purple Heart. This is just great for me. I really like this.
If I compare these two, this one here is a bit heavier. Balance is exactly the same. They both balance right on the shield. The shape of the shield I really like on this one. It's very fancy and it catches a blade well, but there's nothing wrong with this. This is definitely more, like a lot more noticeably rounded than this. The edges are definitely, or the corners I should say, are definitely a bit harsher than I would like.
I can see you having to file down burrs off of that quite frequently.
Yeah. Whereas this one here does not tend to develop burrs at all. Whew.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Yep, those are some notches. We're gonna have to get the file out tonight. It actually gouged out a bit of that right there. There's a whole section.
Let's try another one, just in case this is extremely hard.
Here, let me get my dough bringer.
Okay, that seems to have gone better.
So that was down here-ish. Right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot better.
Black horse.
Seems all right. Okay, so it seems like the Reginier is just exceptionally hard. It did really all of what you can see here. The other blades, not so much. So it really depends on what you pair it with. If the steel is a lot harder, then of course you're going to have trouble. But most of these seem to be pretty comparable. Okay, so after some sparring, this is what we've got. And it's certainly taken some damage. A lot more so than you would see on blades that are more rounded. Maybe hard to see on camera, but there are actually some steel shavings that are sticking out. So this will need to be filed pretty much instantly after sparring. If this was more rounded and maybe harder steel, I think it would hold up better. At least compared to some other swords I've used, they've been a little more durable. Alright, so overall there is some room for improvement here. Our impression so far is mostly positive, and our complaints about the pommel may not bother you at all if you just tighten the pommel and the nut very firmly, you may not have to touch it again for quite a while. At least I don't expect it to require retightening frequently. It's definitely got potential. As it is right now, I would not recommend it over a Regenier, for example, or Regenier, however you pronounce it, especially because those are actually cheaper at the moment. In fact, you can almost get an Ensifer for that price, and those are exceptionally good. But do keep an eye on the Leon Paul. I expect it to get better as they make improvements. Link will be down below, by the way. Hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching, and have a good one, folks.